Good day, everyone.
This is Jerald Abayle,
Jorwin Dago, your new pastor of the day. Globalization refers to extents of free exchange of goods, services, culture, and even people between the among countries. Kharen and Marjury give us a full report.
Thank you, Jerald and Jorwin. Good day to all our viewers. This is my topic about globalization. We live in an increasingly interconnected and interdependent world. Globalization touches every part of our lives, from the products we buy to the food we eat to the ways we communicate with one another. Globalization is also tied to some of other biggest issues we face in the modern era, including climate change, trade, terrorism, and the spread of deadly disease. Being intertwined with countries and markets all over the world has both benefits and downsides, so globalization has both proponents and detractors no matter which side you're on. Globalization is simply a reality of modern life. Therefore, it's important to understand how it affects us and choices we make. And the continuation of this topic is going to Marjury Raterta.
Thank you, Kharen. And now to all our viewers, please follow the global supply chain that makes it possible to make common products more quickly and more cheaply. Learn what changes led to the global expansion of this supply chain. Get to know the international institutions and organizations that govern issues of global concern. Look at how globalization has created new markets for everything from avocados to Hollywood movies, and explore the technological innovations that have made it easier for people all over the world to connect with one another. And this is my report about globalization, and this is Marjury Raterta reporting.
Thank you, Kharen and Marjory. Global media systems have evolved from physical to virtual mediums, as well as in terms of their scale and scope. Beverly and Grace, please give us the full report.
Go. Thank you, Mr. Dago and Mr. Abayle. My report is about media. Media is a communication outlet or tool used to store and deliver information or data. The term medium, the singular form of media, is defined as one of the means or channel or general communication, information or entertainment in society as newspaper, radio, or television. Mass media. Mass media means technology that is intended to reach a mass audience. It is the primary means of communication used to reach the vast majority of the general public. Form of media. First, print media is a varied landscape of advertising opportunities. This category includes newspapers, magazines, direct mail, flyers, door hangers, and catalogs. The media offer the ability. Second is broadcast media has been a public service, is with public radio which is funded by government. The term broadcast media covers a wide range of different communication. Methods that include television, radio, podcast, blogs, advertising, website, online, streaming, and digital journalism.
you, Jerald and Jorwin. My report is about the global media system. Global media system have evolved from physical to virtual medium as well as in terms of their scale and scope. The main media formats include newspapers in 1630s, emerged with a printing press and mobile type 17th century, mini specialization general financial. Magazines in 1730, periodicals weekly, monthly, focusing on specific topics, events, politics, people, fashion, and technology. News agencies in 1835 provide news, the media Reuters, Bloomberg, Associated Press, Agents, Finance, Prissy. Movies in 1910, theater of the masses, quick and low cost diffusion of entertainment, current news or pre-shows. Radio. Media access to private home, first shows to sell radios and consumer goods. Soap operas, rapid diffusion of news, portable. Cable TV. Visual access to private home, richer content, specialization of channels, cable. Internet in 1990, global digital informative exchange. Media rates environment, video streaming 1995, and video on demand 1998. Mobile phones, smartphones in 1983 to 2001, portable telecommunication, portable media access, multifunctional device, camera, recorder, and GPS.
Thank you, Verlyn and Grace. And now, economic globalization refers to the increasing interdependence of world economies as a result of the growing scale of crossing borders trade of commodities and services, flows of international capital, and wide rapid spread of technology. Ellen and Mryna give us a report.
Thank you, Jerald and Jorwin. This is my report about economic globalization. Economic globalization, closer integration of national economies through trade and financial flows, as well as cross-border migration of people. As the national economies open up and lower their external barriers, they become more exposed and more global forces and influencers. The United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, this definition also covers what the European Union calls as for freedom, free movement of goods or products, free movement of service, free movement of investment, free movement of person. The free movement of goods or products facilitated by liberalization or the abolition of tax on imported goods, liberation process or policies of removal or reduction of restrictions or barriers on the free trade.
My report is about the free movement of goods or products, facilitated by liberation or the abolition of tax or imported good liberation process or policy of removal or reduction of restrictions or barriers on the free trade between nations. Liberalization is the process of removing or reducing obstacles that impede the exchange of goods and services between nations. It can include the removing or reducing tariffs or taxes charged on. It's also an exchange of products that caters taxes, and it's a policy that should be implemented on every product that will be imported or exported to all over the world. The second is the free movement of capital or investments, implemented through the regulations or the lifting of restrict banking and financing regulations, aim at encouraging investors to invest more and retain their ability to pull out their investors or their investments at any time with ease. The regulations loosen or lifting are government regulations usually to favor private corporations' flexibility or operations and profitability. In this topic, it's choose on how the banking industry encourage private sectors or even those who have a capital that can be invested even in a low capital can gain profit trustedly and hassle-free, for they guaranteed that they will implement rules in favor to the investors. And it's their way to convince and invest to gather more clients.
Thank you, Verlyn and Mryna. In economics, internationalization is the process of increasing involvement of enterprises in international markets. Although there is no agreed definition of internalization. Mery-an, give us the full word.
This is my report about the internationalization of globalization. Globalization is referred to the process by which company bring its business to the rest of the world. And the world internalization is to produce goods or deliver into the international market and have the standard that are globally accepted. And to expand the business and enter into the market in different countries. And practice of designing products and services and internal operation to facilitate expansion into internal market. According to Robert McChesney, globalization is the result of powerful government, especially that in United States, pushing trade deals and others accords down to the truths of the world's people to make it easier for corporation liability to dominate the economic nation around the world without having obligation to the people of those nations. This is Mery-an Canales reporting.
Thank you, Mery-an. And next, capitalism. Capitalism, economic system in which private individuals or businesses own capital goods. Okay, Maureen, give us the report.
Thank you, Jorwin and Jerald. The report about capitalism is that capitalism is an economic system based on the private ownership of the means of production and their operation for profit. Central characteristics of capitalism include capital accumulation, competitive markets, a price system, private property, and the recognition of property rights, voluntary exchange, and wage labor.
History of capitalism. Modern capitalist theory is traditionally traced to the 18th century treatise on inquiry into the nature and causes of the wealth of nations by Scottish political economist Adam Smith, and the origins of capitalism as an economic system can be placed in the 16th century. From the 16th to the 18th century in England, the industrialization of mass enterprises, such as the cloth industry, gave rise to a system in which accumulated capital was invested to increase productivity. Capitalism, in other words. No one person can be said to have invented capitalism. However, an antecedent capitalist system existed as far back as ancient times. The advantages of capitalism. Capitalism is an economy based on free markets where resources and firms are privately owned. In practice, this usually involves some state intervention to protect private property and regulate certain aspects of the economy. Most would argue that the UK and US is essentially capitalist despite the government is spending between 35 and 40% of GDP. Problems of capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system based on free markets and limited government intervention. Proponents argue that capitalism is the most efficient economic system, enabling improved living standards. However, despite its ubiquity, many economists criticize aspects of capitalism and point out its many flaws and problems. In short, capitalism can cause inequality, free market failure, damage to the environment, short-termism, excess materialism, and boom and bust economic cycles. Capitalism versus socialism. The main difference between capitalism and socialism is the extent of government intervention in the economy. A capitalist economic system is characterized by private ownership of assets and business. A capitalist economy relies on free markets to determine price, incomes, wealth, and distribution of goods. A socialist economic system is characterized by greater government intervention to reallocate resources in more egalitarian way. And this is Krizha Maureen reporting.
Thank you, Maureen. We all know liberalism is contemporarily used to refer to market-oriented reforms policies such as eliminating price controls, regulating capital markets, lowering trade barriers, and reducing, especially through privatization and austerity, state influence in the economy. To give us more knowledge about this, Verlyn, please give us the floor.
New liberalism built on the profit motive by asserting for capitalism to trade. Markets should be free markets, and free trade will set free the creative potential and the entrepreneurial spirit which is built into the spontaneous order of any human society, and thereby lead to more individual liberty and well-being and a more efficient allocation of resources. Critics anti-globalization wants an end to what it considers as a high imbalanced system of globalization that favors the world over the trade world, corporations over citizens and communities, and profit-seeking over environmental sustainability.
Thank you, Verlyn. As Angela Merkel said, globalization is an immense global opportunity for each and every continent because it forces us to act together with others. The alternative to globalization would be shutting ourselves off from others, but this is not a viable alternative. It would lead us only to isolation and therefore misery.
That's why, as a citizen of this constitution, it is important to know and understand the world that we live in.
This is Jerald Abayle.
Jorwin Dago. This is World
This
of
is World of
Ideas.
Ideas Report.